I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. People in Chicago have been crying out for justice, equality, and fairness from their government for years. And it keeps getting worse. Unfair taxes, laws that unjustly imprison nonviolent offenders. The rich get richer, and the everyday people suffer. It's time for a change. With your help, I'm here to do it. I'm asking for your support as I run for mayor for the city of Chicago.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
And you're watching CTV on the Higher Learning Network. Got your head right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Brother Michael.
I'm going to be very brief, okay, because it's time to get busy, but I think it's very important that we manage expectations on what we're charged to do and what we're not charged to do. I'm glad to have one of our other task force members, Bruce Montgomery, here, who's an awesome resource. We got Derek from the Department of Commerce and Economic Development. This is going to talk about the governor, but we got the people here that basically is the police for the money. They police the money for the state. Primarily, basically, our role as the task force is to help implement the things that Dr. Wilson has pushed in terms of African Americans. If you see the task force information, we're not talking about minorities. Minorities don't come into play with this initiative. We're exclusively African Americans, and this is the first time in Illinois or any other state where there's been an executive order specifically for African Americans. I won't go back into that, but you can get that stuff online just to explain that. But I just want to make sure as we do these type of information sessions that we're going to bring you the information, transparency, and as Doc says, you got to get involved. You got to hold us accountable. We've got to hold the state accountable. We got to hold the agencies accountable. But that's not going to happen unless you're aware and understand the process. So I don't want to take too much time because I think it's more important that Doc want to hear from you some of the challenges that you're facing, some of the things that you may want to have some assistance on. We won't be able to get into a full detail, but Doc is always accessible and he's got a good team. Bruce is always going to be there as well. But let me just say the most important thing, and we'll bring Amiel up from the state in advance, we got to get you into the system of the BEP, because that basically actually brings to show that we have a lot of African American business that want to do business with the state. And that's how numbers and goals are set based upon interest and availability. So we got to get you into the pipeline. And that pipeline, the resources we're going to bring you are free. It's not coming out of your pocket. So I just wanted to recap that. We've got some really specific time frames to get things done. The executive order, this task force, they call it sunset in January. That means that this task force will cease. The governor's executive order will now go into the African American, Fair Contracting African American Commission. So it will be a standing commission as of January. That's powerful. One last thing. Doc mentioned something. We got to get over this thing. They're trying to figure out who we're going to vote to be our master. This is not about we got to come together on this common initiative that helps black folks. I'm not going to get caught up into who made the bill, who signed the bill. We got to push whoever is going to be the next governor or whoever for years to come to make sure this thing don't die, that they don't kill it. Because Doc has put a lot of work, his reputation online, and he's making some things move faster than I thought I could ever say. I'm not used to the way he operates, but that's okay. He gets things done. Okay? I'm a bureaucracy person. I'm the one to make sure that we try to follow things according to the letter. Doc picks up the phone and say, let's do it. And that's good. But we need your support. We need to make sure that you stay involved. In other words, we're trying to liberate your mind, give you information. And finally, we're going to get pushback. These agencies don't want to do this. They don't want to be accountable. You know, so as Doc put this legislation together, we had to put some teeth in it. Now they're going to do performance-based. If they don't come up and deal with this issue with their agencies, African Americans, that's going to personally affect their performance and their jobs. So we got some teeth in things now, but we're going to need you guys to push us and support Doc as we continue moving.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Bruce Montgomery. I was here early and I passed out some sheets. I've got more for those of you that didn't get it. My name is Bruce Montgomery and I am with an organization, Operation Hope. Last week we had the good fortune to be the location where this executive order was signed. And that was history right in our community. So some good things are happening in life. We're all saying it happened quick, fast, and in a hurry because of the commitment of Dr. Willie Wilson. There's been a whole lot of hanky-panky for a whole long period of time. And there have been things on the books that said minorities can do this and minorities can do that. But when we asked for a report, the report showed that every year in the last 10 years, the African American percentage of business with the state of Illinois has gone down. Now, Dr. Wilson said not on his watch.
All right now.
So, the clock started ticking last Thursday. Tick tock, tick tock. The clock is ticking. So, but there's some people that's been doing some work on your behalf unbeknownst to you for a long period of time. First person that's been doing that work is you. Now you say, well, okay, why do I say that? Some of you all live in the state of Illinois. You ever paid a tax? Some of you paid taxes. I hope you have copies of your last 3 years' tax returns. You're going to need them. But because you have been paying taxes, you have been paying part of that state of Illinois $60 billion budget.
Right.
The question you should ask yourself, Mr. Business and Mrs. Businesswoman, what is your return on investment?
All right now. Exactly.
So then $60 billion of which you are doing about 1% of, I think you want to do a little better than that, don't you?
Yes.
Amen, amen.
Amen.
So then it pays for a lot of things. One of the things it pays for is right here in your community, not too far from here, is a small business development center. Some of us, including some people in this room, have fought for having fairness and equity when it comes to the location of these small business development centers for a long time. It used to be only a couple of people I knew down at the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. One is in this room. I won't call his name, but I'll look right at it. There's only a few people you could call down there back in the day. And they were fighting for us. And so we've lived long enough to see a small business development center on 63rd and Halsted.
Wow.
And just like Dr. Wilson says, don't give me no claps. Come up in there. You know, I was telling Carl Bibbs just a little bit earlier. The governor has been to my office 4 times. The governor of the state of Illinois has found his way to 63rd and Halsted 4 times. He's been up there. In fact, one time he was there, he had a round table just like this. He had businesses around the table. They talked to him. They got to ask him questions, say whatever. When's the last time you've been on 63rd and Halsted?
That's right.
Got kind of quiet. That's okay. Don't worry, it ain't going nowhere. You say, why do I need to come? Well, you need to come because the clock is ticking.
Right.
You say you want to do business with the state of Illinois, then you have to get in the system. You say you want to know about the contracts, you have to look up to what contracts are out there. You have to know what agency you want to do business with. You have to know where the shortfall is. It may be a whole lot of people in one category. It might be some other categories that don't have nobody. Maybe you might have to change your strategic initiative. Say, I'm going to get out of nothing and get into something where the action is. How do you do that? You got to go get out of line and get online. Ooh, that's scary. I got to get online. Well, guess what? At 63rd and Halstead, we have a broadband-based computer facility with about 20 computers up in there. You can come over there and get on one of those computers, and somebody should be able to help you get all the things we're talking about here right now. So I pass this out. I'll make some more of these available. I won't be long. But the bottom line is, with the assistance of this commission, that's going to be asking for accountability. You just heard Mike Neal talk about two things that has not been a part of this activity until this executive order was signed. Transparency and accountability. Laws on the books with no teeth. It's like a dog that don't bite. Ain't stopping nobody from coming in and out the yard. So now that we have some teeth, we can ask for accountability from these agencies. What is your purchasing plan? What is your plan for including African American contracting? What is your timetable? How much are you buying right now, and where are the gaps and the shortfalls where you don't have any people bidding on some of these areas? We can ask those questions. But asking the questions won't mean anything if you're not there ready, able, and waiting to get some of this business from the state of Illinois. So, and not only does the state of Illinois have, yes, we're talking here about contracting, but there are a lot of other benefits to being involved with the Illinois Small Business Development Center, which is also funded by another place that you send money to. I think some of you all send money to DC.
That's right.
Federal money.
Yep.
So half of the money that pays for the SBDC comes from the Small Business Administration. And we've got hub zones, enterprise zones, empowerment zones. In the city of Chicago, they just came up with Neighborhood Opportunity Fund and Thrive Zone. And now Trumpies come up with something. Opportunity Zone. What's that? Quiet in the room. Don't worry about it. Yeah. We know about it. Yeah. And the point is, all of these things can go help you get the gaps filled when you say, I want to do some business. All I need is a little bit of resource, a little bit of human capital, a contract opportunity. We can fill in the blanks. But what we can't do is be on both sides of the table at the same time. You have to be on that other side of the table demanding your fair share of what this opportunity has provided for you. So all that I ask is that anybody of the SBDC on 63rd and Halstead in the U.S. Bank building on the 4th floor, the Greater Inglewood CDC, is open almost 6 days a week. We have programs Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and we also have programs on Saturday. The last almost 2 years, I've been running a small business accelerator program there. It's graduated over 120 entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs that now have a business plan. There's been the #1 program in the city of Chicago that has received funding for businesses to support their business plan so they can get up and launch. Also, in the city of Chicago, Inglewood has something called the Inglewood Business Pitch Competition. This will be the 3rd year where entrepreneurs can, you all watch Shark Tank. Yeah. Y'all wish you was on there. Y'all want to be sharks, y'all want to be sharkettes. That's all good, but guess what? Right on 63rd and Halstead, for the last 3 years, entrepreneurs have pitched and a chance to win $40,000. Wow. Not for a piece of their business, but for a piece of cash they can put in their bank to support their business activity.
Wow. Bravo. And
last year, the 2 winners of that program, along with 6 of the other finalists, were graduates of my entrepreneurship program. And the top 2 winners tied and both walked away with $10,000 to support their business activity. I've worked with nonprofits, for-profits, service firms, people trying to make and manufacture things. So again, whatever you're trying to do, you can do it with the support of people here at this table. You've got the state of Illinois behind you, and like you see today, the state is coming to you. Dr. Wilson has brought the state to you.
Wow.
Some of you don't want to go downtown, and I don't blame you.
Right.
Downtown is sometimes more hassle than it's work. But now you got the state coming to you. You got to give Dr. Wilson a lot of credit. You got to give Vince Vance a lot of credit, because Vince is the guy Vince is the guy that, you know, he really is the one that called us and pulled us and asked us when we commit this time and doing this, because he recognized that this was on the books. And like we keep saying, don't get it twisted. This is about the community. This isn't this or that, right or left, lean right, lean left, lean in. No, it got nothing to do with none of that. It's about getting up and getting some business going. And it's not easy. Some of the people, and another thing is, while we're so excited about doing business with the state of Illinois, we need to be excited about doing business with the person at our right and our left. I know I don't have this much time, but I'm not going to take no more time. What I'm going to say is, some of us ain't ready. But that's okay. We got to start somewhere. So everybody in this room is fully empowered, fully capable. Let's start operating from a position of strength. Let's start operating from the inside out. Don't worry about running nowhere. Stay where you are. Stand your ground. And be about your Father's business. Where everything can be perfect and in order. If you lean not on your own limited understanding. But come on, let's learn, and we can learn from everybody in here. So again, please, here today, you want to hear what everybody up here got to say. Would you please take the time to introduce yourself to the person at your right and your left? Because right where you are is holy ground. So again, let me get out of here. If anybody wants, that's right, get me out of here. Hey, listen, hey, it says Baptist something. Hey, I'm a priest. That's what it said. When I came in the door, it said something. I said, hey, all right, fine, let me put my preach on. All right, if anybody get one of these flyers, I'll be sure to pass them out. It's got my contact information. It's got the location of the CDC. And again, let's not be so excited that we don't take action, because like Dr. Wilson says, he's got us meeting every week, bringing the heads of these agencies to task. Transportation, CMS, all the IT department, University of Illinois, corrections. The state has many agencies. Part of the reason they've been able to duck and dodge is because it's not a unified process. You got to track each one down and figure out what's going on. But under the direction of Dr. Wilson and with the team that was put in this EO by all of us working on this, we want to thank everybody for making this possible. I want to thank young brother Vince Bass for pulling my coat and giving me a chance to do this and work on this commission. And of course, we want to thank Derek Champion. We're going to have a State of Illinois opportunity program in Inglewood the end of the month of June. So everybody signed up here today will be hearing about that. If you have any questions on all of this, a lot of this online, and you have my number, you call me anytime. Thank you very much.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Chicago is a big city, 234 square miles. We have 50 aldermen to watch over our neighborhood, but only one police superintendent. As mayor, I will add 3 more superintendents and form separate districts for them to be responsible for, and bringing top management to the police force closer to our citizens.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
Coming out, my name is Vince Bass, and I serve as the Director of Public Engagement and Civic Affairs for the Governor's Office, Governor Bruce Rauner. So, real quick, the way, like Dr. Wilson talked about how this all came about, and this came about because, I don't know how many of you all know Mays Jackson, or listen to Mays Jackson. So what's Mays' question? What's in it for the black people, right? So I started in the governor's office in January, and as soon as I got in there, that was my first question, like, what do we have for black people here? There's got to be something. And they did the research, and then they came up and found, hold up a sec. They came up and found and showed me this Fair Contracting Task Force. I'm like, well, how long has this been going? It was signed in 2015 by the governor. I started in 2017. So my question was, what have they been doing, because black people are struggling? And I can understand how we're struggling if we have this in order for black people. And so, you know, I had to do my due diligence and start to figure out, why is this not working? The bottom line is communication and people. People just weren't talking. And so we were actually, the governor asked me to ride with him when we were on our way to Dr. Willie Wilson's event for Martin Luther King's birthday. And he basically said, I was like, sir, do you know we got this going on? He's like, well, Vince, what have they done? Nothing. Well, who's the chairman? Nobody. They set this up for you to fail. It wasn't set up to help black people. It was set up just to be a piece of legislation that went nowhere. And he was like, well, sir, Vince, are you on top of this for me? Absolutely, sir. And guess what? Dr. Willie Wilson wants to be the chairman. He's like, oh, let's make that happen. So we started to put the things in motion, but the chairman can't do everything. You got to replace, you have to, have people to support the chairman. And so we basically went out and found, I didn't have to go out and find them, I knew these people, but Mike Neal, Bruce Montgomery, we started to put people around him to help Doc. Because like you said, he don't know everything, and that's why this is so important. We ask people to come out because myself, Amiel, and Derek are on the other side. And so part of my job as the Director of Public Engagement is to engage the public. That's one part of it. That's only a one-way street. The second part is the civic engagement part. And that's going behind government walls and figuring out what resources do we have in our toolbox that we can connect to the public. So that's where I come in at, to basically figure out what's needed and then start to bring the people to the table who do have the they're content experts basically. So they're here to try and help manage the expectations of people, because there's been a lot of rumors that it's $250 million set aside for black. No, that's not really the case, but Derek and Amiel are going to talk to you all about what kind of these programs actually mean and what it actually does, because again, everybody's not ready for a government contract. Let's be honest, we're not. That doesn't mean we're not ready for business. So there's a lot of programs that the state has and different resources, and so what we ask is that you all be patient, but ask questions, because what we're here to do is to connect you with those resources. Because again, we don't know the answer to everything, but we know somebody that does. So they're gonna have some information, they're gonna come up. Okay, good, I only 4 minutes. So my last 30 seconds, I'm gonna just ask people to be patient, work with DOT. We're working with DOT because what we're trying to make sure of is that people understand it is illegal for us to say that we're giving contracts, right? So when y'all hear Doc say that, he's not meaning y'all come to his office and we're gonna go to the governor and you're gonna get a contract. That's not how it's gonna go. What people really need to understand is that in the procurement code, if you actually start to talk about an open contract with somebody like Doc or myself or the whole nine, you technically can't bid on that contract. So a lot of people get mad at me when I don't call them back. I don't call you back because if I talk to you, you automatically are ineligible for anything. That's right. So you all have to understand that there are laws, and what we're trying to do is make sure that I don't go to jail. Doc ain't got to worry about nothing, but us in government, we have to be mindful of how we speak and how we talk, so we want to educate people. So open your eyes, really open your minds and your ears, and just prepare for a lot of information. And you ain't gonna get everything right now. That's why it's called a process. That's right. Trust the process, but understand that Doc is working hard. I ain't never seen nothing happen like this, because we went in talking, and so we got action. So now we're just saying, help us build the momentum and educate people, because again, if we can get everybody in this room certified as a business, that's more than 10% of the people that's already in the program. Right? So at the end of the day, if we get more people into the program, those goals can come up and we can realize some of the money that is out here, because it's a goal. But again, I'm not going to talk no more. Amiel can talk about that. So I'd like to bring up Amiel, who is the acting assistant director of CMS.
Yes, and I'm here today to help Willie Wilson to become, the mayor of the city of Chicago, because Rahm Emanuel is not doing a good job as the mayor of the city of Chicago. He wants the city to be a state, and we don't need, the city of Chicago to be a state. We need it just as it is, because all he has is appointed people in his office. We don't need no appointed people. We need people who's going to help the city of Chicago and is going to run it like his city is supposed to be ran. So I think that, all of the black folks that's really running for the city of Chicago mayoral race, it's going to be a split vote. So I think that it should have been one black person that's running for the city of Chicago, and I think it should have been Willie Wilson. And I think that he would do a great job. Just like I stated at first, we don't need the city of Chicago to become a state. We need all elected officials and not Rahm Emanuel. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I'm the Acting Assistant Director for Central Management Services for the state of Illinois. No one knows what my job means. I oversee the Supplier Diversity Program for the state of Illinois, which means all the contracting for what's called our Business Enterprise Program, as well as some other programs. So I'm going to start with some really basic information. As the state does its procurement through two means. It's requests for proposals and invitations for bid. There's a difference between the two. An invitation for bid is based purely on cost, right? So an example of that is like if the state is buying hand sanitizer. It's the same product across the board, so we're basing it purely based on, well, what is the cost of hand sanitizer, and the procurement code says lowest bidder wins. There's a separate process which is called RFPs, which is request for proposal. That request and those responses to that are largely based on the technical skills and pricing, so it's not purely based on pricing. That being said, the state, I think in total, it depends on how you measure, spends over $40 billion on an annual basis in procurement, right? Huge number. As we think about African American participation in that, through the Business Enterprise Program, it's about 75 million last year, so less than 1/10 of 1%. And there's opportunity, right? I say all that to say that you're going to hear a lot of numbers and like stuff fly by you. Here's what I need you to understand. There's no one in this room who can hand you a contract for anything. I'll say that again so we all on the same page. There's no one, whether they wanted to or not, in this room who can hand you a contract for anything. My ask, and so what my job is to make sure that the program is growing. And not just that it's growing, but it's growing equitably for everyone, right? And so what you'll find is, it is true that the African American percentage of participation in the Business Enterprise Program has been down basically almost exactly for like sliding and decreasing the last 10 years. The reason for that is that the program is growing, but our percentage of that isn't growing. So I need you, right? And so part of what I do every day is try to make sure that as contracts and as RFPs come across my desk, and they're looking for vendors and minorities, women, persons with disabilities, as well as veterans, that when those procurements come out, we've done everything we can to make sure we've reached out to all of the vendors who are eligible and available so that we know that we've touched everybody we can in the pool.
He does a lot of charity and donations at churches. Particularly my church, Greater Tabernacle, 9712 South Vincent. I'm here because I want to help volunteer, and I believe in the right way. So I'm going to take my chance on Willie Wilson.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Neighborhood schools are the hearts of a community. It's where our kids learn, meet, and make friends. Friends they know in school and can associate with after school. It's why parents connect with other parents. Closing schools changes this and make our kids stranger in an unfamiliar neighborhood. Together, let's find a solution to reopen our schools and help them flourish.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.